So this takes him into developing these ideas behind the implicate order, or what the implicate order might be.
And in fact, what happens is that he's, again, we said like his big thing was you've got to hold the question. So he's holding the question, and somebody writes to him who's read one of his books, and it's an artist called Charles Biederman. Starts writing to Bohm, and they have this long, long exchange over several years of correspondence of thousands of letters. And Charles Biederman has written a book called The New Cézanne. So he's interested in you could say the order of painting, how it changed from, more or less classical perspective to Monet, the first big impressionist, then to Cézanne, and finally to Mondrian, who just had things, just squares and lines. And Biederman talks about how the order of painting changed. And he really believes that when this changes, human consciousness changes with it. And he's starting to write these ideas to Bohm. And Bohm's saying, well, if I could find the mathematics that we describe, or the algebra that describe an impressionist painting, that's exactly what I need for quantum theory. I could just tell the famous story. There's a story told about Cézanne that he painted Vollard, the art dealer, and there were hundreds of sittings. And he's nearly completed the painting, except there's a little bit on the waistcoat, or one of the hands that's incomplete. And Cézanne tells Vollard, if I'm to paint that, I must repaint the whole of the painting, because each part contains the whole, and the whole is in each part. So Bohm hears this story, that the whole in the part, and the part in the whole, and everything, this little area depends upon the context of the whole, and the whole depends upon this little area. And he says, if I only could describe that mathematically or algebraically, that would be the mathematics of quantum theory. So out of that exchange, I think part of that exchange was very profitable. You start to develop the idea of the implicate order. So it maybe comes partly from that exchange, that stimulation of thinking with someone who's from a completely different field, which is really exciting, when that happens when two people meet, like that, who never actually physically met, only met through exchange of letters. And so maybe I can tell a little bit about the implicate order. Well, what he would say is the world we live in, the world, you're sitting over here, I'm sitting there, we're separated in space. And we're two objects in space, and we're interacting, in this case by speech, but we could interact by forces, by electricity or magnetism. He would call that the explicate order. And that's the order that's well described in Newtonian physics. He would say underneath that is the implicate order. And in the implicate order, everything is enfolded into everything else. So, you could say that the water is in the jug, but also the water is contained in the jug, but also the jug then would be contained in the water. Things are enfolded in each other. And these are maybe best illustrated by images.
In the explicate order, we have a square piece of paper. It doesn't take much imagination to see that we could make this into something else, like one of these. All you need is the know-how and a fair degree of dexterity. So let's see the transformation. The implicate order contains all of the potential transformations of the original square piece of paper into very many different objects. Although the method of folding would be the same in each case, a precise sequence would have to be followed to create a specific object. All of those sequences are simultaneously present in the implicate order. The mind of the person doing the folding selects one of these and then follows the necessary steps to effect the transformation in the physical realm. Thus, the implicate order is seen as holding the potential information for all processes of transformation in both the physical and mental realms. This unity of implicate order and explicate order means that when anything changes in one,